You think you know Loki. Charming, witty, a little dangerous. Tom Hiddleston's cheekbones. That helmet. Maybe a villain, maybe an anti-hero. Definitely someone you'd root for. That's the version Marvel sold you. And Marvel did a brilliant job. But here's the problem. That version, the one you grew up with, the one with the leather armor and the silver tongue and the redemption arc, that is not Loki. That is a costume wearing Loki's name. Because the real Loki, the one the Norse people actually believed in, actually feared, actually built mythology around, has sewn lips, is chained in a cave with a snake dripping venom onto his face for eternity. That's your charming trickster. Sit down, because we're about to undo everything Marvel taught you. Let's start with the basics, because Marvel got even the basics wrong. In Marvel, Loki is Thor's adopted brother, a prince of Asgard, raised in the palace, son of Odin. In Norse mythology, Loki is not Thor's brother. He is not Odin's son. He is Odin's blood brother. There is a massive difference between those two things. A blood brother is not family by birth or adoption. A blood brother is someone you chose, someone you looked at and said, I bind my fate to yours. What happens to you happens to me. Odin, the All-Father, the supreme god of the Norse pantheon, looked at Loki and made that choice voluntarily, which means whatever Loki is, whatever darkness lives inside him, Odin saw it and said yes anyway. That tells you everything about both of them. Loki was also not simply the god of mischief. That title is almost entirely Marvel's invention. In the actual Norse texts, Loki had no formal domain, no temple, no dedicated worship. He was something harder to categorize. A shapeshifter, a manipulator, a force that existed inside the Norse pantheon not to rule or protect, but to destabilize. He was the thing the gods needed and feared at the same time. Here is where the real Loki starts pulling away from the Marvel version completely. Loki had children, not just any children, monsters. His first monstrous offspring was Fenrir, a wolf, but not a wolf like any wolf you can imagine. A wolf so enormous, so powerful, so cosmically dangerous that the gods of Asgard were afraid to be in the same room as him. They tried to chain him 3 times. The first 2 chains he snapped like thread. The third chain, Gleipnir, was forged by dwarves from impossible things. The sound of a cat's footstep, the beard of a woman, the roots of a mountain, the sinews of a bear, the breath of a fish, the spittle of a bird, things that don't exist, forged into a ribbon thin as silk, and that was the only thing that could hold him. Fenrir is still bound, waiting, because at Ragnarok, the end of everything, he breaks free and swallows Odin whole. Loki's second child was Jormungandr, the Midgard serpent, a snake so large it encircles the entire world and bites its own tail. Thor's greatest enemy. At Ragnarok, they kill each other, and Loki's third child was Hel, the ruler of the realm of the dead. Half her body living flesh, half rotting corpse. She rules over everyone who dies of illness or old age, not in glory, but in cold, grey, quiet death. 3 children. A world-ending wolf, a world-encircling serpent, a half-dead queen of the underworld, and Marvel gave him an adoption complex. Now let's talk about Loki's mouth, because this story is insane. In the Norse myth of the binding of the dwarves, Loki made a bet he couldn't keep. He had challenged 2 dwarves, the sons of Ivaldi, to a crafting competition. He wagered his own head that they couldn't outcraft the finest craftsmen in the 9 realms. They could. They produced Odin's spear, Gungnir, Freya's magic ship, Skidbladnir, and Thor's hammer, Mjolnir. Loki lost the bet. The dwarves came to collect his head, but Loki, being Loki, found a loophole. You can have my head, he said, but the bet said nothing about my neck. You cannot take the head without cutting the neck, and the neck was not part of the wager. The dwarves couldn't argue with the logic, but they could do something else. They took an awl and a leather strap, and they sewed his lips shut. No head, but no more talking either. Now, most people hear this story and think it's funny. Classic trickster gets outwitted, gets a comeuppance, moves on. But there's something darker underneath it. Loki's power was always his words, his manipulation, his ability to reframe, redirect, deceive, and convince. Sewing his lips shut wasn't just punishment, it was castration. They took the thing that made him dangerous and they silenced it. And he still found a way to cause the end of the world. If you want to understand the real Loki, not the anti-hero, not the misunderstood prince, not the guy who fights alongside the Avengers, you need to understand what he did to Balder. Balder was the most beloved god in all of Norse mythology, son of Odin, radiant, gentle, beautiful, the god of light and purity, universally adored. His mother Frigg, so terrified of losing him, travelled to every living thing in existence and extracted a promise not to harm her son. Every plant, every animal, every stone, every disease, every poison, everything promised except one thing, mistletoe, small, seemingly harmless. Frigg didn't bother with it. Loki found out. He fashioned a dart from mistletoe. He went to Herd, Balder's blind brother, and guided his hand. Told him it was a game, that everyone was throwing things at Balder because nothing could hurt him. Herder threw the dart. Balder died instantly. The entire Norse cosmos went into mourning. The gods wept. Frigg begged the goddess Hel to release him. Hel agreed, on one condition. Every living thing in existence had to weep for Balder. Every living thing did, except one, a giantess named Thok, who scholars widely believe was Loki in disguise, refused. Let Hel keep what she has, she said. Balder stayed dead. This was not mischief. This was not a prank. This was not the action of a charming anti-hero. This was the deliberate, calculated murder of the most innocent being in existence. And it was done out of what the texts suggest was pure, cold envy. The gods had tolerated Loki for a long time. They had laughed at his tricks, benefited from his cleverness, forgiven his cruelties. After Balder, they were done. They hunted him. He fled, transformed himself into a salmon, and hid in a waterfall. They caught him anyway. And what they did next is one of the most brutal punishments in all of world mythology. They took Loki's son, Nafi, and they killed him. Then they took his entrails, and they used them to bind Loki to 3 flat stones deep inside a cave beneath the earth. Not rope, not chain, his son's intestines. Then they placed a serpent above him, positioned so its venom dripped directly onto his face. His wife Sigyn, loyal beyond all reason, sat beside him and held a bowl above his face to catch the venom. But the bowl fills, and when she turns to empty it, the venom hits Loki's face. And he's screaming on his writhing in agony that causes earthquakes. Every earthquake you have ever felt, every tremor in the ground, according to the Norse, that is Loki. Still down there, still bound, still waiting. Because at Ragnarok he breaks free, and when he does, he doesn't fight for the gods. He leads the army against them. So let me ask you something. After everything we just covered, the monster children, the sewn lips, the murder of Balder, the entrails, the cave, do you still see Tom Hiddleston when you hear the name Loki? Marvel made $1 billion, turning one of mythology's most genuinely terrifying figures into a lovable anti-hero. And I understand why. It's a great character. Hiddleston is incredible. But something is lost when we sand down the edges of these ancient stories, when we make the dark things palatable, when we turn the sewn lips into a smirk and the entrails into a redemption arc, because the Norse people who told these stories weren't trying to entertain you. They were trying to warn you. They were saying, this kind of intelligence, this kind of manipulation, this kind of envy, dressed up as charm, it doesn't end with mischief. It ends with the death of the most innocent thing in the room, and a cave, and a snake, and the sound of the earth splitting open. Drop a comment. Tell me which version of Loki you prefer now that you know both. And if you know a Marvel fan who needs their world rocked, you know what to do. Subscribe if you're new. We go deep here, every single time. Peace.